Cardiovascular diseases have been the leading cause of death worldwide for 20 years and remain at the top of the list of the 10 leading causes of death. However, they never claimed as many lives as they do nowadays. WHO has indicated these diseases to be the main cause of death globally over the past 2 decades. According to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, about 697,000 people died from cardiovascular diseases in the USA in 2020, which makes up 1 in every 4 deaths. In Europe, the European Society of Cardiology, ESC, reports that cardiovascular diseases cause about 4 million deaths annually, making up almost half of all deaths on the continent. In Russia, cardiovascular diseases accounted for over 45% of all deaths in the country in 2021. Why, despite the advancement of healthcare and the implementation of new technologies, does the problem not only persist, but continue to aggravate? While many risk factors are named, the primary cause is frequent or chronic stress. Stress is a fear for one's life and safety. In present-day society, people have become accustomed to this kind of fear as an integral part of their lives. However, what causes this constant stress? And how have people been kept in this state for more than 30 years? The root cause of continuous stress is the numerous informational terrorist attacks that people worldwide are subjected to every day through the media. The impact of the informational acts of terrorism on human health has been thoroughly studied and scientifically proven. Let's look at the facts discovered by the Department of Psychology and Social Behavior of the University of California. Alison Holman and her colleagues from the University of California, Irvine collected data on the mental state of about 5,000 Americans for their study. This data collection was completed right before the Boston Marathon bombing on April 15, 2013, where hundreds of people were injured. Mass media extensively covered the incident, repeatedly showing footage of the explosion, the ensuing horror, and people's deaths. They also published harrowing photos, blood-stained sidewalks, people who lost their limbs, and many other frightening images. A few weeks after the attack, the researchers decided to assess changes in the mental state of those people whom they had previously surveyed, following the Boston tragedy. It was no surprise that the mental health of those present at the scene of the terrorist act had significantly deteriorated. However, the researchers discovered something unexpected. The psyche of those surveyed who were not present at the tragedy site, but later watched the news about it, suffered much more. The high level of stress those people experienced wasn't related to them personally, knowing anyone who had died, had been injured, or present at the explosion site. Their stress was solely due to the constant stream of information released by the media. Another study proved that repeated media coverage of the Boston Marathon bombing caused more acute stress in those who watched and read about it, compared to the direct influence of the terrorist attack on those who were at the explosion site. Moreover, it became obvious that media coverage of such events could rapidly spread acute stress among a large number of people. A number of studies confirms that exposure to traumatic content can activate fear circuits in the brain and trigger memories, the 2 key processes linked to the development of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Similarly, repeated coverage of traumatizing stories in mass media can prolong acute distress. Unlike collective trauma that can fade over time, media exposure maintains an acute stress response by keeping traumatic memories active in a person's consciousness. This can contribute to continuous replaying of the same anxious or depressive thoughts or memories. These kinds of thoughts themselves can induce stress even when there is no immediate cause for concern. Such mental rumination worsens a person's psychological state and influences their physical health. Extensive media coverage makes local disasters more widely known, spreading their influence beyond the incident area and turning them into public traumas with negative health consequences. For example, television coverage of the Oklahoma City bombing, the Waco tragedy, and the events of September 11th caused widespread PTSD among people. Let's consider the findings of another study. Research on the consequences of the 9/11 terrorist attack found that acute stress reactions to the events of September 11, 2001 caused a 53% increase in cardiovascular diseases in the following 3 years. Within a few weeks after September 11th, 2001, there was a significant rise in cardiovascular diseases in New York and surrounding areas. The same was observed in Florida, suggesting that people who experienced stress from watching the terrorist attacks in mass media developed health problems. Moreover, similarly to the Boston bombing case, people who suffered from distress were neither participants nor direct witnesses of the attack. They simply received information about the events of September 11th through the media.
We're just getting reports in now that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center.
2 planes have crashed into the World Trade Center in New York.
There have been a series of terrorist attacks in the United States.
All of this indicates a direct link between informational terrorist attacks in mass media and deterioration of people's health. Today, many studies focus on the influence of negative information on human mental and physical health. Research on the aftermath of numerous crises has led to the conclusion that the more manipulative news a person consumes, the higher the likelihood they will develop symptoms of stress, anxiety, and PTSD. Prolonged deep stress weakens the immune system, leaving a person without internal protection, while the decline in immunity is a trigger for subsequent deterioration of physical health. Studies have shown that continuous mental processing of fear and anxiety-inducing information from informational terrorist acts significantly affects the cardiovascular, endocrine, and immune systems. This contributes to the development of related diseases: acute myocardial infarction, sudden cardiac arrest, ischemic heart disease, heart failure, and arrhythmia. Chronic stress increases the risk of stroke fourfold, contributes to the development of diabetes and cancer, and greatly increases the risk of depression and suicide. All of these indicators have drastically surged over the past 30 years. The purpose of any terrorist act is to destabilize society as a whole. This is achieved by inducing severe stress and fear. Constant stress leads to deterioration of the mental and physical health of a huge number of people. Through informational acts of terrorism, the stability of society's life is undermined. This undeclared informational and psychological war has been going on for years and has claimed more lives worldwide than the 2 previous world wars combined. Considering that cardiovascular diseases alone, which are the leading cause of death worldwide, kill 17.9 million people annually, and adding 10 million deaths a year from cancer with 20 million new cancer cases every year. The scale of this terrorist impact is tremendous. The most alarming fact is that the majority of people are unaware of the true cause of this massive genocide, of this crime against humanity.